Hello, good morning. It's not morning, is it? Hi, welcome to the Choosing for Today show. Today's subject is you are not your past. So how does it get any better than that? Let me do a little bit jiggery pokery and let some people know that we are live. There we go. So, episode 17. How did I get so lucky? Where do I want to share it? Share now. And share to my timeline. That is good. And hey Julie, good to see you. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, and if you've got any questions or comments that you'd like on this subject, you are not your past, or indeed any subject, I'm happy to chat around. So one of the things was when years ago when I was doing my hypnotherapy and my neuro-linguistic programming training, when I was first a holistic therapist, way back in the day. One of the things in NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming training, is what they say is the map is not the territory. And I didn't really get what that was all about at the time. And it took me a while to get it. But what they meant was, a map is just a flat piece of paper with images on it, and it might give you a great idea of the direction you want to travel, and it might give you a great idea of what's out there and how to navigate your journey. But the map is not the territory, because it doesn't show where, it might show some of the pitfalls, but it doesn't show where there's the rickety bridge. It doesn't show the dips in the road. It doesn't show the smoothness of the road, or if the road's in really bad condition and really like hard going. It doesn't show if it's muddy, if it's been raining. The map is not the territory. So that's what the territory is, whether it's muddy or dry or slippery, or that the map is not the territory. So just like you are not your past. Yes, your past is your past. And the events and situations and, the place you were born, the family you were born to, your skin color, your sex, your race, the religion that you may or may not have been brought up in, the culture, all of that impacts on the way you are today. But your past is not you. You are so much more than the smallness of your past. So so some of the things, because so often, we're taught in this reality that the way to move forward in life and the way to plan your life and create the future that you would love to have is to look at your past and take lessons that you should have learned from your past. All that horrible stuff that happened over here, what can you learn from it? That's this reality's way of looking at it. All this stuff that you did over here, what can you learn from it? How can you did it like that in the past. So if you do it the same way in the future, and you expect to get similar results. And wrapped up in all of that. So if something was successful in the past, then this reality's way of looking at it is to say, okay, so that was successful in the past. Look at steps A, B, and C that you took to create that success. And now going into the future, do the A, B, and C from the past that worked back then, and then you'll have the same results, or you'll have success, or along those lines. And sometimes that works kind of, and sometimes it doesn't. And yet within that dragging the past and the reference points from the past with you is it's not creating your future fresh. So because what happened in the past, your past is your past, you're already aware of it. You already know what worked, what doesn't work. And you don't need to like dig around in yesterday's rubbish in order to create, or yesterday's whatever, in order to create the future you desire to have, in order to create today, and in order to create tomorrow, and next week, next month, next year, next 5 years, next 20 years. What if you could create fresh without having to be burdened by all the rights and wrongs from the past? So that's one of the things I wanted to say. So I've got some notes. The sneaky things that we've been allowing to define us. So that's one of the things I said I would talk about. And so what are the sneaky things that you've been allowing to define you? And those kind of, because I call them sneaky because they're the kind of things that we don't even notice that we're being defined by them. So it's stuff like lots of childhood stuff. So your position in the family, if you were the youngest, then that is one of those sneaky things that may still be defining you. Like back when growing up, if you were the youngest, then it's like, oh well, they're only little, oh they can't be expected to understand that, they're only little, or and that's all definitions and limitations and judgments that they sort of like stay with us in a sneaky way that we're not cognitively aware of a lot of the time. And stuff like, oh, maybe at school, maybe you were the funny one at school. It's like, oh, they're the funny one, tell us a joke. It's like, maybe right now you don't feel like telling a joke. Maybe you don't feel like being funny. Maybe there's more to you than those old definitions. So it's letting go of those old definitions. I'm going to talk a little bit about the way that we have allowed the past to define us, and the way that the reason I called this "You Are Not Your Past," because the sneaky ways that we act in this reality as if we are our past in different areas, not completely. Maybe some of us do it more than others. So I'm going to talk around being our past, and acting as if we are our past, and then I'm going to give some tools and some solutions to change that, and we'll give you different options and different choices. Excuse me, I'm really hot. It's like I came rushing from anyway. Yes, I'm a little bit hot. How does it get any better? And so that's about the sneaky things that we've been using to define us. So it's stuff like labels from childhood, labels from the past, and stuff that like, say, in school. So in school, I got labelled as being rubbish at maths. I believed I was rubbish at maths. My maths results were that I was rubbish at maths. I would start to sweat and get freaked out, anytime any kind of numbers came up. And, I'd have to do any kind of multiplication. Oh my God, square roots, no. I'd just like start to... And so I created this definition of myself as being rubbish with numbers, rubbish with maths. And I took back in the day, it was maths O-level. We had the choice of O-level or GCSE. GCSE was a new thing. or was it CSE? Anyway, we had the O level was the one that my dad viewed as valuable, and it was the original proper exam as a lot of people saw it at the time. And then they had this new exam that had come in, which was like, my dad described it as an exam for the thickos, you know. So it's like, oh no, you know, that wasn't good enough for us. You know, we had to do O levels, and if any of our teachers suggested putting us in for the, I think it was CSE in those days, at the time, you know, whatever the subject was, my dad had a freak out and went to see the teacher, and you know, he wasn't having that. My daughter does O levels. It was like, and yeah. So with maths, my dad insisted I got put in for the O level maths, even though my maths was very questionable at school. And the teacher advised my dad, you know, I was at the meeting with my dad and the teacher where he was like, my daughter does maths O level, maths is an important subject, she's got to do the O level. And the teacher was saying, well, I can understand, you know, how you would want that. And with Niki's results, we think that doing the CSE, she has a better chance of achieving the top results in CSE. So the top results in CSE, I think it was a #1 in CSE, was so-called the equivalent of the lowest grade in O level. So O level was like A, B or C, and C was the lowest pass level. And CSE was like numbered 1 to 10, I don't know, but basically the #1 was as valuable in education terms as the as an O level, as a C in an O level. But oh no, that wasn't good enough for my dad. So I hated maths because it was hard work for me, and I was like awful at it. And as I said, I used to sweat at the thought of numbers. Yeah, so teacher obligingly put me in for the O level of maths, and in my maths O level, I just so the way they did it in those days, the percentage you needed to get a C grade, and which was a pass, and the percentage below that, a D grade, was the difference of 3%. 3%. And I got a D grade. So that wasn't good enough. I didn't pass my maths O level. And I then went through another 3 years of hell trying to pass my maths O level, keep getting put back in for the same exam. It's like, was it Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, expected to get different results. Well, my results just went lower and lower and lower. And I the next time I took it, I got an F. And then I got a U, which was ungraded, which was the result was so low that I didn't even get a grade. Anyway, enough about that. So that's an example of where I created myself as my past. So that past trauma with the maths and the numbers, I then created that as, defined myself as being rubbish with numbers, which of course being rubbish with numbers means that I'd have to be rubbish with money, because money is and finances, that's all about numbers. And so fantastic creation. I created myself as absolutely rubbish with money, absolutely rubbish with numbers and money, and in lots of fun and exciting ways. So that doesn't have to be the case. So anywhere you've done anything like that, where you have allowed the definitions of the past to actualize in your now, in your present, and it's like you would like to make a different choice for your future, that is now possible. So I'm going to tell one other thing about how to weed out your past from the present. So as I said, and then we'll go into like how to create a fresh future unfettered by the past. Okay, so how to weed out the past from the present. So a lot of the time with these things, we think we just accept it. It's like, oh, that's just the way it is. You know, I'm just rubbish with numbers. I've always been rubbish with numbers. Or I'm just the youngest. I don't know anything. Or, you know, I'm the funny one. I can't be the smart one. You know, you can't be smart and funny. No, 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 no. You know, and so everywhere you have allowed those past definitions to define you now, would you now destroy and uncreate all of that and let that go? Thank you. So it's as simple as just being willing to let it go. And if you want, you can use the magic wand of access, which is the clearing statement, which if you're new to it, you can find out more about it at theclearingstatement.com. And I'm going to use it now and say, so everywhere you've defined yourself as the stuff from the past, will you now destroy and uncreate it all, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So that's the magic wand of the clearing statement, which just takes a big scoop of all the yuckiness and throws it out. And so you don't have to deal with it any longer. It's no longer relevant to you. Okay, so how do you weed out your past from the present? If that's because that's the way, you know, that's the way I was operating, of like, oh no, don't ask me about numbers, I'm rubbish with numbers. Oh no, don't ask me about money, I'm rubbish with money. And it was one of those automatic responses, one of those automatic ways of being, because that's the definition that I had of myself. And you may notice similarities of the definitions that you've had of yourself from the past. Oh no, don't ask me any jokes. I was the smart one. I'm not funny. Or whatever that equivalent is for you. So yeah, so how do you weed out these insidious, these automatic responses? Because they happen so fast that we're not cognitively aware of them until we start to notice them. So this is where I start to bring in some of the tools, some of the wonderful things to change this, to create something different, to create yourself as not your past, because you aren't your past, and it can be easier and more fun to let all this yucky stuff go. And like, some of it's not yucky. You can the tools I'm going to share with you is a fun way to notice what you're doing, acknowledge yourself, acknowledge that you're doing it, and then choose. Make a choice. It's like, okay, is this fun for me? Yes, no. And then it's a choice. It's not an automatic response. So taking the example of me defining myself as my past with I'm rubbish with numbers. Don't ask me about my numbers. I'm rubbish with numbers, and that makes me rubbish with money, and all of that. So taking that, if you know, I'm in a conversation with different people, and someone says, oh, let's meet again on Friday. How many days is that? And I'd be like, oh God, no. Automatic response, oh God, I'm rubbish with numbers. I can't work that out in my head. So it's Wednesday now, and I can't work out when Friday would be, because I'm rubbish with numbers. I can't work out how many days it would be till Friday. And while all that's going on, someone else is like, oh, that's 3 days. 3 days time. Yes, let's meet in 3 days. So the first step is to, and I'm calling this getting the knack, because it's an acronym, and I'm just having lots of fun with I'm creating this this fun program, which we'll look out for it next week, because I'll be talking more about it next week. And so in this fun program that I'm creating, there's this exercise that I've created, and it's called Getting the Knack. So NAC, and it stands for notice. Notice when you're doing it. So in that case of, you know, conversation, someone says, oh, let's meet again on Friday. How many days is it till Friday? And I go, numbers, I don't know. notice that I was doing that. So, and noticing that you're doing something is the first step to changing it. So, and it's not making it wrong. I'm not wrong for going into like my past automatic response, and nor are you. So if you'd like to, think of an example now of like where you go into an automatic response, which was defined by you from the past, or you've allowed the definition from the past, and whatever that is. Someone says, "Oh, I could do with a good laugh. Tell us a joke," and you're like, "Oh God, I'm not the funny one. I'm the thicko." Or whatever the definitions are from the past. Wherever you go with that, notice, get that sense, and then notice when you do it. And then in that noticing, that gives you space to acknowledge that was an automatic response. Like, okay, I acknowledge I did that. I went to that automatic response of believing, defining myself as being rubbish with numbers. What if that's not true for me anymore? What if that doesn't have to be where I function from anymore? So, and it'll be much faster, me explaining it's taking a long time. It'll be so quick. That's why I keep clicking my fingers. Notice, acknowledge, and choose. So that's like split seconds. So you've noticed you're doing it. Oh shit, I'm crap with numbers. You acknowledge that you've noticed it. Acknowledge that you've noticed you've done the automatic response. And without making it a wrongness, without judging yourself for doing it, or making them wrong for mentioning numbers, or whatever it is, it's like, okay, that's just what I did. And then thirdly, choosing it. Now you have a choice. So do you choose to like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'm bad with numbers, I'm just going to go with that. Someone else can work it out. I can't be bothered. That's a choice. And, don't make yourself wrong for any choice you do. Or, another choice would be, okay, what would I like to choose here? Okay, it's Wednesday today. Friday's not far away. It's 3 days. I know. I can choose to look at it, choose to be different with numbers, choose something else. So Alexander saying, "Oh, you're amazing, and thank you for your contribution." Well, Alexandra, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, wonderful. So yes, so that is my little knack of letting go of past definitions and not being your past, because you are not your past. So using that little NAC, notice, acknowledge, and choose, gives you that space to create fresh, and create fresh in every moment. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, and thank you so much for joining me on the Choosing for Today show. There will be another show next week, and I can't remember what I was going to call it next week. If you have it, but it's around, anyway, I can't remember. So I noticed that I did that thing that is something I used to define myself as, of like, I don't know anything, I don't know. If someone asks me something, I don't know. And that's a big one, that's the go-to automatic response of I don't know. That's a whole topic in itself. So did you notice what I did just then? Said, oh, I have a topic for next week on Wednesday at 1:00 BT UK time, but I can't remember what it is. So I went to the automatic response of I don't know. I noticed it, and now I'm acknowledging that I did it. And in acknowledging, it opens up space, because when we acknowledge ourselves for what we're doing, for who we're being and where we're coming from, then it opens up the space for choice. And the more you acknowledge yourself, the more space and choice you have, and the better you get at it. It's like a muscle, the more you exercise the muscle, the stronger and more powerful that muscle becomes. So in acknowledging yourself and what you're doing, then you are creating yourself as you are opening up the space for your strength and your potency to be more in your day-to-day. So yes, acknowledge, notice, acknowledge, and choose. So I'm choosing just to leave it at that. Hey, what adventure could we have with what the topic will be next week? And if you've got any ideas you'd like me to talk about, put them in the comments. If you would like, you know, any topics or that are really like getting to you, that you're like, oh God, I could really do with someone, you know, talking through this, then I would love that. So put it in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. And oh, what was I going to say? There was your choice in every moment creates your life. So what are you choosing for today? Mwah! I'm very grateful to you, and I'll see you soon.